Today's subject matter is sub versus dub. Does it matter? Does it matter? I don't know. I searched on Google because I wanted a statistic. I think this episode is very interesting to me because as somebody who listens to both. Yeah, someone who listens to both, I was like to myself, this episode will be interesting and telling for me myself as I'm learning something, you know? I'm like, I get to really find out things and be like, who on average really does listen to sub more, who does listen to dub more. And I guess, sometimes I feel like sub and dub really, it just depends on your preference. I do believe though that that I think it's weird if people I don't know. It's a very tricky one because even like I guess I never watched Korean dramas in I never watched them in what's it called? I never watched them in dub, sorry. Like I never do that. And like also I don't do so Korean and like Korean, Spanish or any other probably kind of I would say well foreign because obviously it's foreign to me, like any other kind of program I don't really watch them in dub. But I will say, of course, I know that like with the reason why I wanted to do this episode is because with anime, it's like a lot of the time I do both of them, depending on what the thing is about. Also depending on like how I think why I wanted to do this because I was just watching Ponyo and I was like, um, it's a lot of the things where when I was first starting to watch Studio Ghibli, I was watching a lot of the films in dub, and then it's a thing where I've gone back on where I wanted to go back to revisit Studio Ghibli films, but listen to them in uh to watch them in sub. Sorry, because obviously I even when I did my Spirited Away episode, when I just rewatched Spirited Away, in order to do that episode, I I watched it in sub, and I think that was my first time watching it in sub. Um, and yeah, and it's not like I didn't hate it. I mean, I feel like obviously it was better, if anything. The statistic I found in the United States and United Kingdom, subtitling is overwhelmingly preferred over dubbing by viewers of foreign content, with 76 and 75% of respondents respectively preferring subtitles, according to Statista. A survey conducted in 2023 showed that 80% of Americans prefer subbing over dubbing. Additionally, younger generations like Gen Z and millennials overwhelmingly prefer subtitles, with 94% of Gen Z and 80% of millennials preferring subbing as 80%. I mean, as subbing as per properly. That's really interesting. That's very interesting. Of course, in the discussion of the episode, I will hope that people will tell me in the comments which one they have preference with. If you do have one, because obviously, like I said, it's like I sometimes feel like there sometimes isn't necessarily one because a lot of the time, a lot of us do generally watch both because it's interesting. Like I even think with Sakamoto Days as well, I was watching Sakamoto Days and then I also just wanted to listen to the dub because obviously Vinnie Hackle was voicing the villain, and so I kind of just wanted to hear Vinnie Hacker's voice, and I was like, it's his first time really doing a dubbing performance, so I thought like it feels like it's respectful to listen to his performance of doing voice acting, basically. I think to myself because anyway, sometimes it's like you think to yourself, I don't know. No, Vinny does have it. That's what I mean. I'm like to myself, he does have what it needs to be a voice actor. Even though I think to myself, like, yeah, I want to say like I was gonna say, oh, does it take a lot? But it probably does take a lot to be a voice actor because you have to like yeah, you have to have the right kind of voice. And then that's what I'm saying. Like when I listened to Vinny's one, I was like, he does give the eeriness of that villain that he's playing in that anime. And then also, it reminds me of the TikTok audio, which was the guy from, I don't know, I think it's this guy on TikTok, and he's like, "Ref, do something." But his voice sounds so like he could be an anime protagonist. Something like how, I don't know, like when it's like when you hear Aaron's dub, it's like it's so loud, but it's loud like both ways. Like it's loud sub and dub. It doesn't actually necessarily even matter. I guess you just with Aaron, he was always yelling, so he literally always was. Even in this discussion, I guess it's also a thing of like which one is more superior? That's also the question. Like which one is the one that like does hold weight? I've always just thought that there's an importance in listening to something that it's been like, yeah, the one that hasn't been like, yeah, sort of the whole concept of dub, which is a whole of masking over the original thing. Do you know what I mean? I guess it's like with dub, there's more work put in. I mean, because obviously when something is dubbed, people have to like go in and they have to like, yeah, they have to go in and put that language in. So it's just like more work to be done. And then I guess when you hear sub, it's like it's raw, and it's also like it's raw, it's authentic, and it's just like it's the language that it was originally made in. Do you know what I mean? It always has that option, doesn't it? On Netflix, you'll see it, it's there, and it will say either it will say English, or it will say original, then whatever your language is, or it will say original. And it's just like you kind of, I don't know, I think to myself, we all aspire for, what's it called, realness rather than like fake. Do you know what I mean? I mean, even in terms of, I guess, when you buy something and you don't want it to be fake, you want it to be authentic and you want it to be real. Um, it's very, yeah, you just really want, yeah, you just kind of want, you kind of just want, yeah, for it to enjoy it and to hear it in that country. I feel like my favorites of like listening in sub is probably like, yeah, I feel like it's Spanish and Korean probably. I know every time I listen to Korean, I'm always like, oh my gosh, and probably even Japanese. I guess it's when you listen to most of those languages, you're like, there's something in you that wants to learn them. I was learning Korean at one point. I think I was doing it on Duolingo, and then it's like I just stopped. And Duolingo, like she's honestly like, she's needy, and I say she because I assigned a gender to my Duolingo. She was so needy. Like she'll be like, "Oh, when are you coming back?" It's like actually we're not. And I never got married to you, by the way. Do you know what I mean? That's the thing with Duolingo. It's so weird. And there's just so much commitment. I think the funny thing was that I first, obviously you first used Duolingo, I guess, when yeah, they ask you to do Duolingo in school. So that's how you first find out the app. And then I was doing Spanish, obviously in school. And then when I left school, I decided to carry on with Duolingo. And so I carried on learning Spanish. But it's a thing where it's like, of course, I know some Spanish because I've already learned it, but it's like I wouldn't say or cast myself to be fluent, because that's the funny thing. It's like I know that most of the time when people are trying to learn a language, which is really interesting, they watch the show and they watch it without the subtitles on, and then they try to translate what the people are saying in said show. And I know that I think that is the key to learning. I would never be able to do that, but I know it's the key. It's like it's funny because I know that when I am watching a Spanish show, I know of some of the words, like some of them are familiar, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I know this or I know that, and then I'm like, yeah, it's like some of them ring a bell, but it's like to do a whole entire conversation, I'm like, no, I would have to lock in and go back to Duolingo. But as I said, like Duolingo is crazy because as I said, you have to be in a committed relationship with Duolingo. You can't half-ass it. It's not it's not that like, and I think I guess and learning a language, you can't half-ass learning a language anyways. It's not one of those things you can just like it's not one of those things you can just wing it at. Like, do you know what I mean? That's the thing with like skills. some of the things you can just wing it and hope to be a quick learner. You can hope to adapt pretty quickly, but I also feel like with a language, it just takes like commitment and you have to practically do it every single day. Like, I think what's funny is I still have, what is it? Hold on a second. I think I still have the, oh yeah, I still have the Korean vowels on my wall. So I guess when I was trying to learn Korean, it was still on my wall and I was still trying, but now I don't. But I have a quite, yeah, like I was saying, I have a quite admiration for these languages. And I think they're great. I do think it's funny because when you watch stuff so much and stuff though, it's easy though to, what's the word? It's easy to hear familiar phrases that you do know because of course you're watching them so much. But that's also what I think to myself. I feel like to myself, you don't necessarily need to like take the subtitles off. I do think of it's a thing that like you can learn language while also the subtitles being on. Like, you know what I mean? I feel like you can because it registers in your head and you learn different phrases. And yeah, I just think, you know what I mean? It's happening like slowly. This is interesting. I like this article. I'm going to read it out. This is sub versus dub. It doesn't matter by by Grace Everett on the Baylor Lorot. It says if you watch anime, you're familiar with the terms sub and dub, and are probably well aware of the divide they cause in the anime community. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the term, sub anime is when the voiceover is in Japanese and the subtitles are in the viewer's preferred language. Conversely, dubbed anime is when the voiceover is in the viewer's preferred language. It doesn't matter which method of watching you choose, at least it shouldn't matter. The argument that one version of anime is better than the other is a hill on which many people are willing to die. If you are one of those people, I suggest you find another hill because you're wasting your time. It's true, like literally, what her paragraph just was. It's a thing that like people really do debate this subject of sub and dub. That's why even when I thought of the title name, I was like, literally, I was like, does it matter? And I guess my question that is the title name is literally, and her article is the answer to that question. Obviously, it's like no, it doesn't necessarily matter, and it's literally up to you what you feel like is best for you. But no, literally, I do think that I guess I don't know. As I said in the beginning, the only time I ever give people like the side eye, I guess, is yes, listening to um Korean dramas in English. I think for me, that's where the line is made, where the line is drawn. I think with anime, I'm also like, it's okay, even though I think to myself, it's funny because I guess what I was saying about how I watch sometimes the Studio Ghibli films in dub, but I don't watch anime in dub though because I don't really I haven't done it in a while actually. It's funny, like it makes me feel like, oh, I haven't done it in such a long time, like I won't look back, which is crazy. But I guess if I felt like I wanted to watch it in dub, I would. Um, like whenever I feel like it. It's not like I'm not opposed to it. It's just nowadays, it's like I'm watching in sub. I think the funny thing is when I first started watching anime, probably like when I was watching Attack on Titan, I think I was watching I was watching in dub. Like probably the first few seasons I was, probably like season one and two, I was watching them in dub. And then obviously when the anime was still ongoing and then the episodes were obviously only coming out, they were literally only coming out in sub anyway. So it was the type of thing where it was like you can't really do much about that unless you want to wait also. Because that's something that happens with Korean dramas sometimes too. It's a thing where kind of for you have to wait for the subtitles. So it's like if you need to wait for the subtitles, then you might as well just watch the thing in like dub instead of waiting for them to sub it because then that just takes longer. And it's probably just easier. But anyways, back to the article. Obviously, this is not mine. This is Grace. Some might argue that sub is better because it preserves the original form of the show. Exactly. That was my point. Others might agree that dub is better because it's more convenient. Exactly. That's what I mean. Like sometimes I feel like using dub is literally only when I'm like, oh, I can't, like, as in my concentration span is not able to watch something in sub. Like literally I have to be such in a good kind of like maybe mood or energy or whatever it is, but I need to be in such a good kind of flow, or as in like not tired to watch sub. Like a lot of the time, if I know that I'm gonna have to watch something in sub and it's like, oh my gosh, I'm tired, I'm obviously not gonna watch it. I think that's even why in watching Ponyo today, I was like, oh, I want to watch it in dub because I mean, well, no, I watched Ponyo in dub obviously the first time I watched it, so I guess that's also familiarity. But then I also um I also wanted to just watch it in dub today because I'm also tired and I was like, I don't know if I can really sit and like look at words or like look at words on the screen and really be really be concentrated. I don't really know if I'm in that mood. Like it's funny, my day plan for today was actually just supposed to be me playing Sims, but I decided I play Sims a lot of the time, so we're going to do something more constructive, which is basically watch Ponyo and also read the Studio Miyazaki book. But anyway, obviously, so yeah, I agree with what Grace has said about I mean in that part. And then keep in mind there are also cons to both versions. For example, subbed anime can be difficult to watch for people with learning disabilities, exactly, and reading the subtitles can take attention away from the animation. I also agree. On the flip side, the translations aren't as accurate in dub, and not every anime is available in dub. Yeah, this is what I also said. While those arguments are valid, it's still a waste of time. People will have their preferences, and at the end of the day, it's not that deep. Exactly. While I do prefer sub, I also watch dub quite a bit. Sometimes I want to multitask while I watch anime, or my focus isn't great and I don't feel like reading. Literally same. In those situations, I watch dub. Another situation in which I watch dubbed anime is if I'm watching with my roommate. She has dyslexia, which makes it more difficult to watch subbed anime, so she prefers dub. No, exactly. That's also another thing. It can be hard. Like I guess what Grace mentioned about the learning disabilities, it's very hard to like, yeah, like look at words. And I mean, I've always had trouble with like learning. I mean, learning, reading, whatever, concentration. And it's like it's true. You kind of sometimes just want to choose dub as a way for you to like be able to do other things and not have to like yeah really use too much kind of I guess brain power. Yeah, I guess not too much brain power to just like yeah, too much brain power to just sit and watch something. I think that's why it's so interesting, I guess, with like the fact of like the concept of podcast, because it's like I thought to myself of a podcast, it's like people want to listen, people will want to also view with their eyes. So I guess recorded videos of podcasts, but they also want to hear as well. I think for me, my preference, I guess, also if we're talking about podcasts, I guess I like both. I mean, I like the video aspect and I also like audio. I think when I was starting mine out, I thought, did I want to do both or like in terms of navigating it and what that would mean. I also thought, oh, do I need to do video? Because I guess you feel like whenever you're coming into something new or some kind of new industry, you think to yourself, maybe you have to do it the ways that other people are doing it. But then I also think that's completely normal to happen for like to come in something new. You wonder to yourself, should you be doing it the way that it's already been done? But then I think that the best the best ideas are made when like when they're freshly made and they're new, and that like obviously what I mean, people will have podcasts and I guess the subject matter will be the same, but they'll have two completely different ideas, and they'll be able to say them in two different ways. So it's like what I'm trying to say is, I mean, your content is your content, basically. That's what I'm saying. So, I mean, I guess it's like on the subject of that. No, I think on the subject of that, what my point is that like it's just obviously just it's just your preference. It's a preference thing, and I think that's what I'm saying. Like both of those things have that in common. I mean, so like podcast and then also the concept of sub and dub. Like it's like whatever you feel is best, and obviously like what Grace has said in the article, I do think that's why yeah, like listening to dub is quite helpful in those aspects because you can obviously like read a book or you can like tidy your room while also like looking back and forth. But if you're doing sub, then it's not gonna work. Like I think it's like that guy. There's that guy on TikTok, remember? He does those videos where it's like, I think the TikTok usually says like, oh, I'm gonna tidy up, and then he puts a scene on, and it's like, oh, but obviously you're not because, and then he puts a really big scene on, like I guess maybe I think I thought I saw one of his where it was like probably when Raina and Bertold transform or something like that. But you know if that scene is on, then you're not going to do any tidying up at all, basically. And also if it's also in sub, then you're definitely not. Like I feel like either way, I think maybe even if that scene in particular, you're probably just either way, it doesn't matter which one you're listening to, you're not gonna do anything and you're not gonna move from there either. So I guess even in when you that factor that in, it's like it actually probably doesn't even. That's why I guess Grace's whole overall message is that it doesn't matter because literally, like, the enjoyment is gonna be the same, either or. So yeah. But anyways, I want to go back. I need to finish off. It says, it never ceases to amaze me the things people care about. Canadian author Marty Rubin said, we pick and choose our battles in this life, and arguing about which form of anime is better certainly won't be one of mine. The anime community is never going to come to an agreement. People will continue to watch anime however they want to watch it. So there's no point in trying to convince someone that the one version is better than the other. It's simply no worth getting worked up over. It's fine to have an opinion on the matter, just don't take it too seriously. I do think like because obviously I guess what her whole like argument and the whole purpose of the article was that yes, a lot of people did argue about anime and sub like back in the very like yeah well back in the day I don't know because I want to say as someone who's in the anime community anyways I don't know if people really argue about it now. I do think that I don't think a lot of people do. Like, you know what I mean? If you tell somebody that you're like watching an anime, like they kind of just want to talk to you about said anime. It's not like it's not like they really want to judge you on what way that you're watching it. It's more of a thing that the thing that I feel like I get from the anime community sometimes is that they basically just like they're just like, oh, why aren't you watching this anime? Why aren't you watching that anime? Blah 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 blah. I mean, when people say that to me, I'm like, well, I can't watch as many animes that you want me to because, for one thing, like I have a bad span, so I can't actually do all those things that you want me to do. Like, and I think also another thing is that I have a habit of starting new things, so it's also like I don't really finish things a lot of the time. And I'm just like, I do, because this is the thing. The thing is, I do finish things because I guess you know what would be funny. Of course, I do finish things because if I didn't, podcast wouldn't be able to exist. I wouldn't be able to talk about things that I haven't seen in detail. But I just mean that I know that my span over the years has gotten worse, anyways. Um, so it's like I know that for a fine fact I'm not watching as much anime as I used to. This is what I mean. I know what the reason is. And obviously, I just told you guys the reason. Because obviously, if that wasn't the case, then I'd probably be watching more. And like the days of when Attack on Titan was on, and I would be binge watching it, and it would be like it would be so easy. But like binge watching anime is not even, it's not, it's not on the cards. Like it doesn't happen anymore. Like I guess my max is I can probably watch like 2 anime episodes a day. Other than that, I probably can't do any more than that. And the question is, how do we fix that? I don't actually know. I thought the way of trying to repair my attention span would be picking up books because I think that, reading um is a way to is a way to really remember, like, to push your attention span to, like, be focused because there's a book in your hands and there's words coming at you. So it's like, your really does, your mind really does have to be switched on. Like, do you know what I mean? So I was like, I feel like reading can repair it for me, but then even then, I still think it's like I'm not, um, yeah, I'm not like reading as much as I should. But you know what's really funny as well? Why is it that then I guess, because it's weird. I also want to find this out. Why is it that like if you have a poor attention span but that you're still able to like pour so much into video games because the funny thing is that we all know that video games are super addictive and you can play a video game for like about 10 hours or more, and people who play sims, obviously what I just said, don't know what I mean. It's like you can play sims from the beginning to the day for like, yeah, a full 24 hours, and then keep going as well, because this is the thing, I know that I could do that. I mean, I forget my number right now, but it's probably like 600 and something hours, right? It's 600 something hours. But I saw somebody's the other day, I saw that was like 2000 or something like that, and I was just like, how does that even work? And I'm like, why are okay, that's so odd. So it says on Google that video games can improve attention span because they provide structured tasks with clear goals and immediate feedback, which can be more engaging and motivating than everyday tasks. The constant stimulation and rewards in games can help individuals focus and maintain attention for longer periods than they might in other situations. It says, so they break it down here. So they said immediate and frequent feedback. Games often provide instant feedback on player actions, which can help individuals stay engaged and learn from their decisions in real time. Immersive worlds, many video games create immersive worlds that can capture the player's attention and make it easier to focus on the task at hand. Okay, and a dopamine release, of course. The completion of tasks and leveling up in the games can trigger the release of dopamine, which can further enhance motivation and focus and cognitive skills. Some games, particularly action games, require players to process information quickly and make decisions under pressure, which can enhance attention and working memory skills. And reduced in distractions. The focused nature of gaming can allow individuals to block out distractions more effectively than in other context. It's important to note that while video games can improve attention, it's also possible for excessive gaming to negatively impact attention in the long run. The key is to find a balance between gaming and other activities. So basically, that sounds like what it said there is that it's basically a double edged sword, anyways. So it's helping your attention span, but it's also not at the exact same time. And that's really interesting to me because that means that it's helpful, but it's also not. I don't know. It makes it sound like, the whole concept of like vices and drugs and drink. It sounds like that basically. Like, drugs give you a temporary high, but you know, when the high is low, you're in trouble, basically. That's what it sounds like to me, anyways. I'm like, it's very interesting. Wow. I do think of how it broke it down though, like how it said about how, yes, like video games obviously give you a quick release because they're setting you up with a task, you do the task, and you carry it on. And then I think also the way that Sims 4 works, anyways, is there's always so much to do. Like, you know what I mean? You're literally controlling your Sims a lot of the time, unless, I don't know, you're somebody who plays with cheats. Other than that, because that's interesting, there's so many different ways people play Sims, anyways. It's like, either you use cheats in order to not have to do everything that they like to do, every single thing they need to do, but then you can also like, you know, focus on your storylines instead, like storylines and challenges and all that kind of stuff. You can focus on those instead of pouring into doing the mundane tasks. So I don't know. I guess this is what I mean. Like playing Sims is just like one of those things. I guess it's like one of those games that I guess yeah, it has so much to do. I mean, so much to offer. I guess, they have all those game packs that you have to buy, but unless, I don't know, unless you get them somehow, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But yeah, and it's just like, that's really crazy to me. And I didn't know that like what they're trying to say is that video games are actually helpful, even though I guess, the message always has been with video games is that, yeah, they turn your mind to party. And they say that about television as well. Like, you've always heard that, like, your parents would be like, you watch too much TV. It's gonna, it's gonna, it's gonna, what do they say? It's gonna decrease your brain, your brain levels. And we're like, is it? But then it's like, is it though? Because that's what I mean. When I just read that thing, I was like, is it though? Because it's like maybe it somehow helps, but it also doesn't at the exact same time. But it's like, then again, even when me reading that, I'm like, I don't even play Sims um as much as I used to do anyways. I guess I used to play Sims 4 like every day. I don't really do that anymore. It's like every so like it's almost practically like maybe once a month, or twice a month. But it's not anything crazy though. I kind of want to like there's a goal I've set for myself with Sims anyways. I do want to reach 1,000 hours, and I just want to like, do you know what I mean? I think people always say there's also a dopamine, I guess, in setting goals. And of course there is, because I feel like goals motivate you. It's the same way. I know that people like to say that people don't like to watch films anymore, and that we all just like to log our films like we're machines, but it's not really down to that though. I see myself when I set myself a goal as like it's motivation. I probably would not do it without said goal. Like, do you know what I mean? I think it's like you always need a push sometimes. And also, what I posted, I think I posted on my story the other day, and I was like on my Instagram, and I was like, I procrastinate a lot, and I even procrastinate things that I want to do. So it's like the goals are set in place in order for me to do them. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like obviously I have like so many goals ongoing anyways. I guess I would say that yes, there's a simple goal. There's also my reading goal, and there's also my letterbox goal, which is always to watch like I think is it I don't know. I usually do like is it 100? It's like 100 films a year basically. But I'm also one of those people who also logs shows, so don't judge me. But I also log shows, so it's kind of a thing where like it can be a bit difficult because obviously my number will have shows included. So I guess sometimes I don't really count them all up. And I don't know if that's a way of me cheating the system or not, because that's the thing. People will then maybe want to come to me and say, oh, if you're using Letterbox that way, then that means your number is in fact lower than it actually is. Like, do you know what I mean? Because you're including shows when most people's numbers are literally probably just based on film. And I guess most people say that they want Letterboxd to only be film related. Obviously, I would love for it to be both. And the only reason why is because my memory is like a goldfish. So I need to have places that I could note down things. It's like the fact that right now one of my letterbox lists are me, like me kind of creating. It's almost like a checklist of me creating how many K dramas I've watched, um, this year so far, and it's like I need that list because it's like I remember when I did it last year, I basically forgot how many K dramas I watched, and then it was like, no, but actually, I missed some out. And it was like, this time, I had to do it right because I'm not missing out any this time. Because it's like, then you have to go in and you have to edit them again. And that's just very, very long. I guess, in conclusion of this whole episode, it's like, yeah, sub or dub, it it doesn't matter. Exactly like Grace's article, it literally doesn't matter. I guess it's a thing that, like, yeah, you do you. Like, literally, you do you. Like, that's literally the main thing. That's all you can do, basically. And I guess even remember the factor I mentioned about languages, that's why that's very important anyways. Like, I just mean the concept of sub and dub, because I guess if you're trying to learn a language, that will be very helpful advice for you. We said, guys, turn off the subs, by the way. Like, just turn them off. Give yourself a test. Like, why not? Live life on the edge. Like, do something a little crazy. Even though I say for you guys to do it, knowing full well that I wouldn't do it. Like, I wouldn't do it. It would be so hard. And I think sometimes when you go to school, like the concept of having to learn things. I mean, I hate saying that actually because it's good to learn things. I mean, as a human being on the planet, you should learn things every day, daily. It's quite helpful, but it's just like, I don't know. I think sometimes, yeah, the thing of that learning a language is basically just laziness anyways, like literally. And I'm like, sorry to read you guys, but it is because if you wanted to be, what do they call it, is it bilingual, or like, yeah, multilingual or whatever, like if you wanted to you could be. you're just not you're just not motivated to do it. Like, you're just not motivated to learn the language. And I think it's funny because I've maybe made that the pushing force in this whole episode. I basically said to you guys, let's kind of like, let's push stuff out and let's learn a language. It sounds like that's what the message is, but generally, guys, it's not. I am basically saying that I think if you want to watch dub, that you should. And I think that's why I guess also the dub thing was that, like how Grace mentioned about the con, I mean, no, the positive, sorry, was that, yeah, you're able to do other things when watching dub. And I think, yeah, exactly. So, like, if you need to tidy up your room, put dub on. Like, hello, don't just sit on your ass and just sit there. Do you know what I mean? And not move. And also not do toilet breaks. I'm like, yes, take that toilet break, please. Take that toilet break, drink your water. Do you know what I mean? And I just think that, yeah, I guess what I was just trying to say, and I think I was just a message to myself anyways. Sub just takes too much. It takes too much brain capacity, right? It just takes too much brain capacity. And maybe mine is weak anyways, but it does. But then I also think, because obviously sub's a thing where like you'll want to watch sub if it's like something that you really, really enjoy anyways. Like, I know that there's probably people who would be watching One Piece in sub, for instance, because One Piece is such a popular anime and loads of people watch it. And literally, I feel like One Piece is the anime that everyone talks about. And sometimes I even wonder if One Piece overshadows Attack on Titan, even though Attack on Titan is like, I don't know, it's the GOAT, right? But then I also feel like One Piece is in a lot of anime conversations a lot. You can't go 1 minute without somebody bringing up One Piece. So you literally can't. And that's not even me being a hater or anything like that. It's literally just the truth. Like, that anime is, yeah, but then what I'm saying is most people are probably watching it in sub and not dub. Because I guess then people see it also, like, I guess that's why the dub thing is like sometimes you see it as a disrespect. And I know that I do, but I just mean it's like, oh, these people have also performed well in the dub and they performed well in the sub as well. And it's like you just kind of have to listen to both so that it equals its way, like it equals itself out, basically. I know that it's funny because with Howl's Moving Castle, and I know that's one of my favorite Studio Ghibli films. I always watched it in yeah, I've always watched it in dub, but that's basically because of Christian Bale. That's the only reason. Like I said, ask me who anybody else. Oh, actually, sorry, and Josh Josh, what's his name? I can never say his last name, but you guys know Peter from Hunger Games. Like I know his voice as well. So, but I would say it's mainly those two, anyways, that like motivates me to watch that film in dub. So yeah, but that reason, yeah, that reason's like it's pretty flawed. We're just doing it because they're celebrities. But anyways, tell me your thoughts and opinions in the comments. Do you think it matters? You'll probably say no. Do you think that it matters? What is it? I'm very interested to know like exactly what stuff you guys watch in sub or dub or literally both. I guess yeah, I'm watching today. I'm watching Ponyo and Dub, and I suppose in all my other animes that I'm watching, like obviously I mentioned Sakamoto. I'm watching Sakamoto in sub at the minute. There's also a lot of other animes that I'm watching, but I can't really put my finger on them right now. Like it's funny. I feel like oh sorry, My Happy Marriage as well. I guess I'm watching My Happy Marriage in sub as well. And that's pretty much it though. Yeah. Like I said to you guys in this episode, I'm basically not watching much anime these days. And I'm obviously more so watching Korean dramas. And I need to like I think I was supposed to do an episode for Dear Hongrang. So yeah, look out for that one. But I don't know if I will do it because I don't know. You know it's crazy because I thought that I'd maybe get away from the spoilers of Dear Hongrang, but I don't think I will. I think it's also quite big as well, isn't it? It feels like it is. So it might be on the same level as like Weak Hero, and I was like, oh, I was hoping it wouldn't be, but then it's like it probably is. It's just because I guess with a popular show, you can't escape the spoilers. So keep that in mind. See ya.